Hi everyone, welcome to another Rise video. Again, Rise is the tabletop RPG that I've been working on. Today we're going to continue on with how to make a character. This is the, I believe, third video in this series. So today I wanted to talk about this idea of the class tree, and that again is one of the biggest aspects of Rise. It's what makes, I think, Rise very unique, and that there is almost an unlimited amount of ways that you can develop a character. So I have come up with sort of a visual representation of these class trees, and I say class loosely. That you don't. It's again, the system is classless. You're not locked into anything once you pick something, but it's just how I've been kind of thinking of it and the terminology I've given it so far. So this here is a visual representation of it, and it's a little bit confusing to look at first. That's because there's a lot of stuff going on. Essentially, these center boxes are your attributes, and each base attribute kind of has skills and abilities and powers associated with that attribute. So, for example, endurance here is an attribute that we've talked about in the past that governs, how durable you are, and it's kind of how defensive you can be, and your stamina and things like that. So there are class points that you're awarded every time you level up, and I can show you that in a minute, how many points you get per level up. I believe it's currently sitting around 5 to 8, something like that. And the amount of points that are required for each of these powers are listed here in parentheses. Now, what you'd have to do is essentially choose whichever ones you want. Some of them have certain requirements based off of the attributes. You can choose to increase an attribute. I've been told by some of my friends that it's actually easier to look at instead of this big giant visual representation to actually understand what you're getting. It's much easier to look at a table. So here I have a table of the things that you can do for each of these level up points, the amount of points that are required here, the type of thing you can get, such as a stat boost, a focus, a talent, specialization, ability, stunts, and powers, what requirements do they need, and then the description for each of these is here, as well as the name of what you get out of these. So you can increase maximum HP, movement speed, MP, again standing for magic power, and then the amount of points you get per level up are in fact listed here. I can make that a little bit bigger. So at level 1, you start with 8 total points. You gain your credits, obviously, from the background, and 3 conviction points. Again, I have not yet gone over what a conviction point is. We'll talk about that later. I'm considering calling these points things, the level up points, perhaps a different terminology, because the word point is used a few times in Rise. But essentially, each level up, you gain 8 points. At level 5, you gain 12. Every 5 levels, you gain 12, except the 10th and 20th level, you get 16, where level 20 is the maximum current level in my system. There is mention here of racial powers for certain races that you get at level 10 and 20. I'll go over that in the future as well. So back to this class chart. Again, so you can increase your maximum HP, movement speed, or MP. Each of these is only worth 1 point. Some of you might be thinking, wow, that's not very much, especially if you get 8 to 12 points every single level up. That's true, but there's lots of things that you might need to level up with and choose. If you don't pick something, you don't get it. Otherwise, you get nothing when you level up except for the points that you have to allocate to different things that you want. So other things that you can get here, there are focuses, as we mentioned in the previous video. A focus is a very singleized or a specialized way of rolling a dice. So let's say I wanted to make an attack specifically with a bow and arrow. I would roll specifically an accuracy bows test or archery, a ranged test. And I would need, if I wanted to increase my ability to do that, I would need the focus for using a bow. Or if I wanted to try to increase my dexterity in sneaking, well, I could simply increase my base dexterity, but if I wanted to get really good at sneaking, I would take a focus based off of sneaking. There are actually upgrades for each of these, or not all of them, but some of them have upgrades listed over there. I'm not going to talk about the upgrades. I'm not going to talk about every single one of the things here, but I did want to sort of go through each of the main ideas of the main things. So I talked about stats here, focuses, talents. I haven't exactly gone into a talent yet. There's 3 levels for each talent. I have a huge list of all the talents here. The talents are more related to kind of occupational things or hobby type things or less specific to combat. Think of that, more role-playing and exploration type abilities, and each of these has 3 ranks to them. So rank 1, 2, and 3. Back here to the classes, and then finally, for 3 points, you can pick a level and a specialization. So I have mentioned previously that there are a lot of specializations that I've come up with. Specializations are kind of your traditional classes in more of a tabletop RPG. So again, like you could be a knight, for example. And in a traditional tabletop RPG, you would just say, I am a knight, and every time I level up, I gain knight abilities. Well, in Rise, if you want, you can take 2 levels from the knight, and you could take, 2 or 3 levels from the medic, but you could also decide, oh, you know what, I want to be this planeswalker as well. So you can have yourself spread very thin, or you could specialize in one thing. It's very much up to you what you want to do with your character. So that's their specializations. I'm going to go a lot in depth on the specializations in later videos. Then there's each of these abilities, the way to actually increase your ability. Again, we talked about in a previous video, you have your starting ability scores. And then if you want to increase that ability, it's going to cost a number of points equal to the score you want. So the example that I've got, so let's say I currently have 3 points in endurance and I want 4 points in endurance. Well, it's going to cost me 4 points then to level up my endurance. However, the minimum number of points to put in is always going to be 2. So even if you have 0 endurance, it will still cost you 2 points to get up to 1 endurance. Or if you have -1 endurance and you want 0, it's still 2 points. Following the endurance is the more endurance type abilities. So we mentioned earlier, these are the stunts and powers that are more related to the endurance ability. So the first one being rock steady, which is a stunt that lets you be immune to getting knocked over, for example. And then you have armor training as a power. Again, stunt power. It kind of increases in the amount of points they're worth, as well as they increase in the requirement of the base ability that you need. So for example, if you want this indomitable ability where once per day you can survive a single attack that would have killed you, leaving you at 1 HP instead, well, you need to have 6 endurance and you have to be willing to put 3 points into it. So the big part here is getting that 6 endurance. Again, we have strength, following that, then accuracy. Now, I, in the attribute section, have listed endurance, strength, and accuracy as the primarily warrior focuses. Now, again, you don't have to lock yourself into anything, but it just helps you visualize what kind of attributes and abilities these are for. So following the last accuracy focus of the warrior, or the last accuracy power in the quote-unquote, again, warrior type abilities, there are these 4 here that require a combination of points in endurance, strength, and accuracy. So the first one being Juggernaut, which is endurance and strength. Then we have Sentinel, which is endurance and accuracy. The Expert Strike, strength and accuracy. And finally, Last Stand, which needs 5 endurance, 5 strength, and 5 accuracy. All of these costing 3 points. So this is very similar going all the way down. Again, the middle 3 here would be Dexterity, Perception, and Charisma. They also have these 4 here of No Hesitation, Lucky, Sixth Sense, and Cunning Heart. Again, those are tied to more rogue abilities, and the final 3 for the mage type abilities would be Heart, Intelligence, and Wisdom. That's kind of all I wanted to talk about today. Again, there's so much more to go in depth with this, but as you can see, there are so many ways that you can put points into this game. Each time you level up, you can choose, oh, I want to put points here, or there, or there. Not only is there everything listed on this page, but like I said earlier, we have the focuses, which I believe I have upwards of like 60 of those. The talents, again, somewhere in that 40 to 50 range, and specializations, I also have around 50 of those. And not only do I have 50 specializations, but there's 9 ranks within each specialization, about 50 talents, 3 ranks of each talent. So there's so many different ways that you can spend these points to make, again, an almost unlimited number of characters. I'm really excited. We're almost done with this making a character sort of mini series here. Again, The next video, I'm just going to do a little bit on kind of finishing off a character, coming up with a name, what I've called an archetype, relationships, and then obviously you got to make sure you don't know what your character looks like. So coming up with a picture, designing some kind of character image there. So thank you guys so much for watching. The next video here is going to be on hopefully tomorrow, and it's going to be on these following 4 things here. We'll be finishing up the creating a character series, and then after that we're going to jump into I actually want to start making some characters. So I'm really excited for that. I hope you guys are too. Please leave any comments below if there's any character concepts that you want me to make characters for. I'll probably be making these characters at about level 5 just to get an idea of a relatively beginner level character and how complex they can even be and how differentiated they'll all be, even if some things might be similar. So again, thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in this content, please like the video and subscribe so you're notified whenever I post a new video. But for at least the next few weeks or maybe month or so, I plan on releasing a video every weekday around this noon time is what I've been going for now. But we'll, if things change, I'll let you all know. Thanks again so much for watching. My name's Alex, and this has been Rise. Bye-bye.